All right. So the key to market success isn't your timing of the market, it is your timing in the market. The longer, the better. Remember the hare, tortoise and the hare. Longer in the market. Okay, so give me an example of a target fund. What is a target fund? So I have invested in Target Fund 2020. There's 2015, but I said I want to be a little I want to stretch it out a little longer. I want to keep more in bonds. So what does that mean? So this is something you can buy. You pay just a fraction more for the management fees of that. But as you get older, the younger you are, the more stocks are in there. As you get closer to that, it automatically adjusts. Each year it adjusts a little more into the bonds as you get closer and closer to retirement. And as I understand it, when you get at retirement, it's something like 50-50. So that's what you want to do, is preserve your thing a little bit at a time. You're just adjusting, letting it. So this is like the no-brainer. This is the no-brainer type thing. It has stocks and bonds in it. So here we see 2020, and so I did this. I made this slide up. I said, well, I need to show how that works. So when you're close to retirement, there's 58% in stocks. So these ones with asterisk here. If you're farther out, you have 68% stocks. And if you're even farther out, you have 75% stocks. So as you approach retirement, you want to be adjusting it to more stocks. You want to preserve, because again, over 10 years, you don't want the stock market to go choom, and then all of a sudden you're going to move it into stocks all at one time. So you're gradually moving it into fixed incomes as you get closer. Diversification, here's the thought. You take your percentage of investment in bonds should be your age minus 10. So if I'm 65, minus 10, I should have 55% in stocks and 35%, or here you're 65, it'd be 45% in stocks, 55% in bonds. Very conservative. Okay, so you can look at your age here, and it says, this is just something I got on the internet. It says if you're age 50, you ought to have 6 times your annual income in savings, just as a guide, just something to peg at. So how not to run out of money. How not to run out of money. So let's say, just for round numbers, your annual income was $50,000 a year. And you want 80% of that, because you're going to have your house paid off, you're going to have your cars paid off, everything's going to be paid off. You may want to buy a new car before you, or a relatively new car, before you get close to retirement. And your taxes are going to be less because you're in a lower tax bracket. We'll talk about that a little later too. If you have a pension plan, you may or may not have an old pension plan. Social Security benefits, you have to go online to find out what that is. So you can kind of plan and figure out what you're going to do. Unless you know what you're going to get, you don't know what to plan on. So do you need $1 million? In this case, no. I'll show you this case doesn't need $1 million. So the shortfall is $16,000 in this little scenario. Now, next slide. So keep that in mind, $16,000. So assuming at least $400,000 in savings in your defined contribution plan or personal savings, you're going to withdraw 4% a year. 4% a year to make up for the $16,000. So if you've earned 4% on a year on that, you're even. If you earn more than that, your value is increased. If you earn less than that, then probably next year it'll change. So it may be up or down if you're staying in the stock market. And you'll have to stay in the stock market some to maintain a larger percent of interest. Dave?
Well, you could keep with closer to the mix of stocks and bonds at that point, but you want enough kicking off.
Yes.
And have the 4%.
That's right.
In cash.
That's right. Yes.
If it's all in stocks and not much dividend and just not much bonds, then you're going to have to sell a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Right.
The mix is good.
Yes, the mix is crucial to know the mix. If you, or you can purchase an annuity with a payout of the same amount, an annuity, a charitable gift annuity to the church, means you get a certain percentage a year, a certain amount of money every year for your life. When you die, then the church gets to keep the balance of that. So that's an option for you. Or you can get a commercial annuity. I don't understand a lot about annuities. I just like to try to have money in the bank. Investments in stocks and bonds, some are going to earn more, some are going to earn less, depending on the year. Some, you always need to keep some savings in liquid cash. Investments, remember Dave Ramsey, 3 to 6 months in emergency fund in case something happens. You need to be able to pull it out without being locked up in stocks and the stock market's down and you're pulling it out at the low. You don't want to do that. Okay, investment tolerance. There are conservatives. Conservatives don't like risk, but in order to preserve value of the savings, they need to understand that some risk needs to be taken to keep up with inflation. Moderate people are willing to take some risk, but are cautious. And the aggressive people are attempt to get the greatest gain, but they may be attempting to take too much risk. So they're the jackrabbits. I'm going to buy this. Oh, this is a good deal. Okay, I'm going to buy this. Okay, that's the aggressive person. The prudent investor needs, in some ways, needs to be all three of these. They need to be aggressive if they're 20, 30 years of age. They need to have most of their investments in stocks. Dave Ramsey says have 100% of your investments in stocks. Forget about those bonds because you're trying to build wealth. You've got a time horizon, assuming that history will be the same in the future as it has been in the past. Okay. The prudent investor, in my opinion, needs to be all of these. Young, you need to be aggressive, and as you age, they need to be more conservative. And that's what the target fund does for you. And I think the Fidelity and the Vanguard all have target funds available that you can buy into, you can invest into. Investment management, okay. So AARP magazine, I like to quote magazines because I think, that's more credible there. Do it yourself. If you do it yourself, you put in $50,000 over 20 years, typically. It doesn't say what the interest rate is, but it doesn't cost you any annual fee to invest it yourself. So you get $132,000. If Robo-Advisor is a computer that will adjust, you put in criteria, and I don't know how it works, but the computer adjusts it and buys and sells for you based on certain criteria that you put on. This is 0.25%. Now you've lost $6,000 by letting the computer do it, okay? $6,000 over the life of that 20 years. A financial advisor is going to cost 1% to 2%. So you're going to lose 23%, $23,000 by having somebody manage it for you. If I can put it, in my opinion, if I can put it in a target fund, then why do I need to do that? I went to a financial manager and I showed him what our plan was. I had it all laid out, what we're going to do at certain times and my net worth and where the money was invested and all. And he said, well, when you retire, bring it to me. I'll invest it in my company and I'll charge you 1% or a year. Okay? Well, if it's let's say you had $500,000, just for a round number, $500,000. So he's going to get, 1%, 500,000? What is that, Dave? $5,000 a year to manage that for me. Well, he's going to do the same thing I'm going to do. He's going to put it in investments like this. So,
But don't you have to have some access through someone's company in order to put your money in there? I mean, it's not like you can walk
No.
into Wells Fargo and go into the
No.
stock market.
you have, now if you have a company that's been doing that, many times the company that's been doing that will continue to do that in retirement and do that for you. Or if you have your own thing, you can invest directly with Vanguard or Fidelity or whatever and do your own thing. You don't have to have a financial advantage to do it for you. So the next slide says whether you need an investor, a financial advisor or not.
I guess what
Yeah, well, you can get a financial manager. You can have Vanguard. You can do it yourself. It's I'm a do it yourself. You can have the computer. I guess Vanguard. I haven't asked them, but I'm sure that you could have it managed. Or you can get a financial advisor with Vanguard or whichever company. You call them up and ask them. Or you can go to Lawrenceville or whatever and just say, I'd like to hire a financial advisor. Oh,
How do you do it yourself?
You get a brokerage. In other words, there's lots of different brokers out there, and they have financial advisors. But you can have a brokerage yourself and do your own research online and do the investing yourself and make all the decisions yourself. Learn from your mistakes. I mean, that's what I've
this is the expert here. This gentleman here
But you did
does his own.
You do have to pay a fee for that access to the
No,
brokerage.
no, there's no fee for the access to the brokerage. The fee is when you buy and sell. Okay?
Yeah.
Like on Schwab, because I transferred my money from Scott Trade into Schwab, because Scott Trade had the lower transaction costs for investing, and I had put most of my money in that, but I had my original accounts in Schwab. But then Schwab reduced their fees to $4.95, and Scott Trade was still $7. And then TD Ameritrade was going to keep that same one. And because I'd had some experience with TD Ameritrade, I didn't want to go to TD Ameritrade. And I still have some of my grandkids' accounts in TD Ameritrade, so I can see, what they're doing there.
So when you're managing your own money in the funds, every time you decide that you want to sell from one and buy in another, they are charging you like $5.
He's buying individual stock. Is that not correct?
Or electronic.
You're not buying index funds, buying and selling
I buy
index funds.
CEFs. Those are
Okay.
electronically traded funds, and they have both bond funds and stock funds. And there's actually a website that you can go and see, and it'll show you what their holdings are, so you can see what stocks you're actually buying in that fund. So you get much wider diversification. And the other thing with these electronically traded funds is sometimes you can buy them below their net asset value. So you're actually buying them at a discount to what the actual value of the stocks or bonds that they're holding in that account. And many of these pay dividends on a monthly basis, so you actually have a monthly cash flow. So each month I have a cash amount that I can take out and put into my bank account and pay bills with without affecting my core holdings. I usually try and retain some so that I can buy some additional to keep growing their portfolio, which is really the key to increasing your wealth, is not to use all the money that's being generated, but to invest it in additional holdings. But the reason I got into this is because in 2008, no matter where you took a bath. If you were bonds and
Yes.
stocks, real estate, everything there was no safe harbor.
Yes.
And when that happened, I started doing a lot of studying, and so I've been pretty happy with what it's been doing.
So this gentleman is an expert. This gentleman is I am not an expert. I am a know-nothing investor.
Yeah.
I like to do things simple. I don't study that out. He is really studying it. Dave?
Your question, was it like your own money or your employer?
Well, no, I'm thinking it sounds like we're suggesting here that the do-it-yourself. So if I was able to say I had $130,000 and I'm ready to write a check and invest it into something all by myself, I would still have to pay somebody.
Yeah, you have to have a, like you were saying, a broker. You have to have a brokerage firm, and you can choose that. The one that Dennis is saying is there's Vanguard,
Yeah.
there's Schwab, there's TD Ameritrade. There's a lot of, they want to manage
So, can you manage your own retirement money? It all depends. Don't you love that? It all depends. So if you're financially savvy and willing to monitor it, now I look at the stock market almost every day except for Sabbath to see whether it's going up or down. Do I make a change? No, I'm just curious. I know it's going to be going up and down. And let me say that by diversifying in index funds, you're going to have some companies, Sears, that are going to go down. You're going to have others that are going to come up. That's why it's nice to have a mixture of diversification. Vanguard has a fund called the Total Stock Market. It's everything. It has another one, the Total Bond Market. It's everything. So the whole economy of the U.S., if it goes up, there's some are going to fall out and some are going to improve, but the whole economy is based on that. So great diversification rather than individual stock. Yes.
Move back a minute. You mentioned as you get older, moving more to fixed income, you gave a key there, your age minus
10. Minus 10 to determine what your bonds, percentage of your bonds should be in. Again, these are some clues that people give us, whether it fits or not. It's just some calculators. Yes.
A neighbor that lived behind me, she's passed away from lung cancer because she was a smoker. But we were talking with her and I was telling her about, what I was doing. And so she said, well, can you help me a little bit? And she was with UBS, who was managing the money that her husband had left her. And they had her, she had over $200,000. And they had her in index funds and all kinds of risky stuff. And they were churning her account and doing all kinds of nasty stuff.
Oh.
And so I helped her open an account with Scottrade. Her income from that $200,000 was only $3,000. And we sold the risky stuff and we kept some of the good stuff that she had. And I showed her how to do the research and reinvest. We reinvested. And when we got done, her yearly income was over $14,000.
Great.
3,000.
Wonderful.
And,
7%.
And she basically said, I helped her for about a year, and she says, hey, I'm loving this.
Yeah, I can do it myself now, huh?
Yeah, I can do it myself.
Okay.
So she did, and she
Great.
used that income to put a new driveway in and do
Oh,
and
right.
buy a new
That's
car.
great.
And
So you help. That's great.
But you have to be careful who you're using.
That's right.
Some of these bankers and
That's
some
right.
brokers are not always as
Yeah, there's supposed to be a new law. They have to think about the investor than themselves and making money, and they can be sued if they're not looking out for your best interest.
all because of this type of hanky.
That's right. That's right. So it all depends. If you're financially savvy and are willing to monitor it, yes, I feel financially savvy and I'm willing to monitor it some. I may only change it once every 6 months. Just a little adjustment, little tweaks. I knew that when the market was going up, everybody was saying, well, it's, 8 years? It's never had this long a run. I said, it's going to happen sometime. So maybe I ought to change a little bit more in the bonds and lock it in. So I did like 50-50 bonds and stock instead of 60-40. And then it went down. And so, you got to use your head and just see what's happening. But you're not making rash adjustments. So now, if you're not savvy financially and would rather do something else, but you still need to understand a little bit about what you're doing. No, hire a financial manager with non-sales commission or find somebody who can help you, that can assist you. If you have considerable funds or complex holdings, then probably the best to hire a trusted financial advisor. So if you got a lot of money, then probably you need to get somebody else to help you with it. Okay, whoops. Oh, okay. Now we're going to talk about Medicare Advantage and Medicare Supplement. Okay, I'm running a little late here. I hope you don't mind if I run a little over today. Medicare Advantage, Part A is your hospitalization. Part B is your medical. Part C is Medicare Advantage. And you'd think, well, that's part of Medicare. Now, what I've been told, I've never read this, but what I've been told is that Medicare Advantage is getting out of Medicare. You're now hiring a company to handle 100% of your health care. So you're going to be given a doctor. You're going to be given a doctor. Maybe if it's a HMO, you're going to give a primary doctor. He's going to or she's going to determine whether you can go or not, because now you're in a money-making business. The advertisements you see on TV say 0 premiums. Well, do you want to pay a premium or you want to pay 0?
0.
You want to pay 0. Okay, that sounds logical. However, if you want a cash flow that is more even, you pay a premium, and then I have a Medicare supplement. I have original Medicare. They're covering 80%. I can go anywhere in the U.S. that accepts Medicare. And then I buy a supplement for 20%, for the 20% it doesn't cover. I pay no deductibles and no copays. So when I go in the doctor's office, I don't pay them $25. I walk out. Okay? Medicare Advantage has 0 premiums and will advertise that they have 0 copays for preventative, for go and get your physical and your dental cleaning. But then the deductibles and the copays may be much more. So if you want to even out for denomination employees, Jeff, the recommendation is that we go with a supplement, because we get an HRA, it's like an HSA, we get a fund denominationally, you may get this too, that your premiums can come out of, and in the year's time, we paid for medical premiums denominationally about $57 for the year, one time, because there was a fund there. So it evened out, and I had a physician when I was presenting this who said, Dennis, you're absolutely right. It is much better to have a supplement than it is Medicare Advantage, because we as physicians have difficulty getting the medical treatment for those patients, because we have to go through all kinds of hoops, because it's a business versus Medicare. Okay, now that was his experience. I'm sharing my understanding. He's sharing his experience from the medical side. Yes, Paul.
This is just my understanding also. Something I read is that once you get out of Medicare and into the Advantage plan, it is hard to go back if you want to. If it's still that way, I don't know. But my personal
yeah.
opinion of this.
I'm a newbie into this. I'm just kind of sharing my personal experience.
Out of Medicare into an Advantage plan, if there was going to be a problem going back to Medicare if I wanted to go back.
Yeah. When I see things advertised on TV, I say they're making money, advertisement. Now, the silver sneakers, I mean, I have people that love that. They say, hey, I get this, I get able to go and get exercise for free. It's a great advantage. That's part of Advantage, not Medicare supplement.
I've been on 2 Advantage programs. First, I started with Humana and was on them for like 9 years. More recently, because of researching the different features of the different plans, we changed to Aetna.
Okay.
Aetna was vastly superior to Humana because of the copays and fees.
Okay.
With Humana, you had to pay $500 before anything kicked in. Aetna didn't have that.
Okay.
And they didn't have some coverage for dental and for eyeglasses, where Aetna does have that. And so we
Good.
recently changed, and we like Aetna quite well.
Good.
And we like silver sneakers because we go to the gym at least.
There you go. You got to take advantage of it, though. If you get it and don't do it, then it's not a benefit.
Muscles and bones.
There you go. Keep them active. All right. All right. So probably enough on that. Question.
Number 2, the supplement insurance,
It all depends on your age, your medical history. Yeah, just, and again, I would suggest you compare the two. Medicare Advantage, if you have a catastrophic illness, if you're paying co-pays and deductibles, it may be much more than what the premiums would be. I like things simple. Just even it out for me. Cash flow, even. I don't like surprises. So I like it evened out. Okay? There's also something, part, let's see, is it F and G? F and G, is it plan or part? I keep getting that confused, but we're on G, we pay a one-time $183 deductible, Medicare deductible, with the Medicare supplement, but it saves us about $200 or $300 a year in premiums. So if you can get that, if you can get G, that's better. They call F the Cadillac plan because everything, you don't have any deductibles, Medicare deductibles. So anyway, F and G, just think about that if you're getting close to retirement. Okay, how are we doing here? Okay, all right, I'm running behind. Withdrawals must be made from tax-deferred investments after age 70 and a half, or there's huge penalties. Somebody said you have to pay 50% of the penalty. That sounds outrageous, but 50% of what you don't pull out. IRS annually looks at the total tax-deferred investments divided by your life expectancy. So there's my question. How much am I going to have to pull out each year? Is it some secret formula? Yeah, it's a secret formula. But they take your tax-deferred amount only, not your Roth, because your Roth, you've already paid taxes on it. Your tax-deferred amount, let's say it's $200,000, and you look at your age, and let's say I'm 66 or whatever, and the tax table says I'll live 17.2 more years. You take whatever the tax-deferred balance is at the end of the year, divide the life expectancy in it, and I'll have to take $11,627 in that following year out. And that would become taxable to me. That's not taxed. That's not, but it's tax. It just throws in with your other taxable income to determine what you pay on taxes. And then it's recalculated next year. So next year it may be $194,000 and divided by 17.1% or whatever. And so it changes every year.
Yeah, your broker actually tells you, you get a form that tells you what you have to withdraw for the next year.
There we go.
And so it's very easy to get that.
Yes. So if you have a company tax deferred, you can hopefully work through your company. If you're investing separately from, like I am with Vanguard, that's not tax deferred. That's just an investment. You don't have to mess with that. You don't have to pay taxes. You pay taxes every year based on the gains or losses or whatever, based on that. So 70 and a half. So how much is taxed? So that was a question I had. Well, what am I going to have to pay in taxes in retirement? I want to understand how this works. So they have something called combined income. It's your joint return. It's your wages if you are working, full-time, part-time, whatever. Your dividends, your pension, your other taxable income, and a portion of Social Security. Social Security can be what you get from Social Security can be taxable to you if you earn under $25,000 totally in this combined income. You don't pay any tax on the Social Security income. If the total is $32,000 to $44,000, then you pay 50% of the Social Security income. And if you're in over $44,000, it's 85% of that what you receive from Social Security then becomes taxable. So because I was asked to call back into to work for 4 months in Kentucky, Tennessee conference. So I had some earnings, and I was curious to know. I did my taxes, and I was just curious to know. I did it like February 15. I did it early because I'm retired. I don't have anything else to do. So it came out at 66% of my Social Security payments were taxable. Now this next year, I'm not working full-time anywhere, or part-time anywhere, so it should be considerably less. But a suggestion of when to pull it out. Of course, you have to pull out your retired minimum and distribution. You can live on that, or you can put that back in savings. You don't have to spend it. Pull out your savings bonds, tax deferred, Roth. Of course, you have to make sure you keep some money in the hand, 3 to 5 years, and ready funds and CDs, treasuries, available funds. So there's 3 different dates that you can, in regard to retirement. The day you start Social Security, that's one date. The day you start your pension retirement, if you have any. And the date you cease work full-time and start Medicare, assuming you have medical from your employer. So again, I wanted to be very simple. I wanted to be very clean. I did all 3 in one day, December 31. Okay? I just did everything. I want to make it easy and simple. Money isn't everything. This is my opinion. It's ideal. It is best to work until full retirement age because most benefits begin and penalties cease at that time. Retire when things are going great. Don't wear out your welcome and start slipping on duties. You are not indispensable. Dave Colburn can take your place. Yeah, and he did. He did. Some take virtue in not wanting to rust out, but to wear out. Neither should we wear out our employing organization. Leave with dignity. Plan to spend several years doing what you and your spouse want to do while your health is good. Travel, grandkids, hobbies, teach, part-time work, whatever. There is life after retirement. Remember, when you do retire, you may go from an authority. If you're in management, you may go from an authority to a nobody. Understand that you're getting older. There's 3 stages. The go-go stage, and travel and see the world. You retire, and I'm getting that mobile home, and we're going to just go overseas. Then there's the slow go, where you want to settle down. You've been there and done that, and you want to settle down. And it's just you got to take it easy. And then there's the no-go thing, the no-go where you're in assisted living or nursing home. But don't let yourself be frustrated with your body and your mind changing. You are getting older. Every day you're getting older, so live with it. So, money is like manure. When piled up, it stinks. But when spread around, it does a lot of good. You know, people amass money, they greed money. This one person says, I got to have $1 million. Well, you know, in this sample here, you only needed 400,000. So why stockpile it? Think, use your information there. Why hoard it? And use it for good, spread it out. Tithing, if you paid tithe on your gross income during your working period, you have paid tithe on half of your Social Security. Because the employer paid 5.65%, you had deducted 5.65, they paid half of it. This is a question I had, and this is not a have to thing. This is an answer to my question, what should I pay tithe on? Any defined pension plan, that's the old pension plan. We were given money, we didn't have put any of our money in it. We're given that, so that's totally paid by the employer, and so you tithe on that. Any defined contribution plan may have a base amount, 3 to 5%, and then a match, and then you're put in your part. You got to do some kind of simple calculation when you pull that out. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I apologize, I'm still reading, so I'm hitting the first one. So you're saying, if when you were working, you paid tithe on your gross income,
Yes.
then in your retirement and collecting Social Security, you should only tithe on half of it?
I'm not saying you should only
Well,
tithe on that. You've already paid tithe on the gross.
Yeah.
That 5.65 you had deducted from your paycheck.
Well, okay. And so, but then if you're getting like a pension, you're
Yes,
saying,
right.
that's a
That's
full-on
right.
income.
That's
you
right.
should still-
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is an answer to my question. I'm not here to prescribe what you should or shouldn't do. I'm just saying these are my own musings that I've said, well, and I thought about this before, and I thought I had it clear, but now I'm in retirement, I'm saying, I never thought about this before. Social Security, half of it was paid by the employer.
The one thing that
He's always listening.
How do we pay, like, our interest, like, my money's already out of the 401ks and stock, but, we don't know exactly, I know that I paid taxes on that money to begin with, less than 25% that my company was matching.
How do
So
we
it gets kind of
decide
confusing on how to pay tithe.
when you have taken a withdrawal? When you have withdrawn from your retirement to supplement your income, how do you figure paying tithe?
Well, I figure it on the withdrawal, because that's cash that's coming to you. The value of your portfolio will move up and down, and it only becomes actually cash in hand when you withdraw it from the account. And so then to that, that's an income.
Well, and I know that earlier when you talked about finding quality credit cards that have benefits to you. So this has been something that we've started looking at, because when we earn cash back on our credit cards, like you talked about, where you've gotten a several $100 check as money back from your credit card company, then, that started coming up as, well, that's income in effect. So we should consider that for tithe.
You could look at it another way, and that is it's a return on the money you paid to them. It's
Well,
not
it is a
really-
return of the money, but had I not had that particular credit card, I'd have had zero zip. I've just been
That's
paying.
right. That's
I'm
right.
trying to
Yeah.
pay under the philosophy, whatever you want blessed, you pay tithe.
Yes.
Sure.
And that was something that was said to us, is anything that you want to be blessed, if you want the best for what you have, then pay tithe on it. So, but now we are in that scenario that says, well, so is everything in the category?
Well, we've been paying where you say, the percentages up there.
Yeah.
The money we've been paying.
Yeah.
But this is, that first bullet point is new concept.
Yeah, it's a new thought. It was a new thought to me. I didn't think about that. I said, oh, okay. So I'm just, again, sharing my musings when I was analyzing. I was saying, oh, okay, I didn't think about that before. So anyway, it's better to be more liberal than that, but at least this is some things to think about.
I pay on my Social Security income in total.
Okay, great. You cannot give the Lord, so that's fine.
Just on,
Yeah. But sometimes people think, well, I paid Social Security, so I've already paid it. But actually, the employer, if you paid on your gross, but the employer paid half of that, because that went into the Social Security Administration for you, but you never saw it. You never saw it. It never showed on your paycheck.
Yeah.
But knowing from the management side, we did have to pay that
Well,
to the
and see,
IRS.
it came up as a question because of tax return.
Mhm.
Because if you are getting money on your tax return, then, David's thought was, well, we pay tithe on our income all through the year, so in the tax return from the government,
That's not tithe, money.
but then on the other hand, it's money that we wouldn't have otherwise had coming, so,
Yeah.
Which,
Okay.
to me, it's
All right.
logical, you don't pay tithe on that. That's money they kept in
Yeah,
their
yeah,
interest.
that's right. That's right. All right, we're going to move on here. I think we're going to run over time. I'm going to be preaching a little longer because we have one more section. It's a little shorter than this one, but we're going to move along here. So remember, it's all the Lord's. Don't waste it or hoard it. Okay, that's about the manure idea. Lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven. Be faithful in tithes and offerings. And be liberal with offerings. Spread it around. Help on the individuals. Honor your time. Volunteer your time and talents. If you want to increase your money, give more. God is looking for liberal people to take to heaven. Okay? All right, there you go. There you go. Now we're going to switch to... And smile on your face. Yes. Yes. Okay. We're going to switch to the next one. And it'll be about 45 minutes, so we're going to run to about 4:30. We have lots of good input here, which is great. I don't want to stifle that, but it does take a little bit longer. But I keep thinking of things that I need to add to this. So, that's the problem. People ask questions and then they say, oh, I need to add a new slide for that because that helps to answer that question. Oh, so then I get paying ahead. Paying ahead, session number 5. This is the last session here. So what does paying ahead mean? Do you store up for yourself treasures on earth where moth and vermin destroy and where thieves break in and steal? But store up for yourself treasures in heaven where moth and vermin do not destroy and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. So again, the rich man and the poor man. So Jesus used a lot of parables. This is not a theologically correct parable, but the story is told of a wealthy businessman who went to heaven. Gabriel met him at the gates and said, I'm going to take you to your new home. So they walked together and went or drove together or whatever the heavenmobile is or whatever it is. And so they're going together and he saw this beautiful mansion and he said, oh, is that my mansion? And he said, no, not your mansion. That's your maid's mansion. He said, oh, really? Wow, that's great. And they went a little farther and they saw another one that was even bigger. Said, oh, okay, this must be mine. No, that's your butler's. That's your butler's mansion. So he said, man, I must really, I'm the owner of the company. I ought to really have something big at the end. So they went a little farther and went out way out in the sticks and something like the Louisiana Bayou. And it said, here's your mansion, the one on the right there. And he said, what? What happened? There must be some mistake. Certainly there's some mistake. And Gabriel says, well, we did the best we could with what you sent ahead. So he was a hoarder, and he didn't give like his employees gave. We cannot impress God by how much we give. We can't say, well, I'm giving a double tithe, so the Lord's going to have to give me a ticket to heaven. Okay. We can't impress him by how much we give. I'd like a giving while I'm a living, so I'm a knowing where it's a going. Our estate plan should be a continuation of our living giving. Our continuation of our living giving. So how do we use what we have? And here's a quote from a gentleman my wife found online. And God gave the people silver and gold, but they used that silver and gold to make idols. And so now today we're making idols out of money. We're buying cars. But we're buying expensive cufflinks and jewelry. So do we want to make those things our idols? And that's what he's saying. We're using those gifts that God has given to us. Every dollar is important. Brethren, awake from your life of selfishness and act like consistent Christians. The Lord requires you to economize your means and let every dollar not needed for your comfort flow into the treasury. Now that's interesting. I thought it was only our needs. So gentlemen, maybe we ought to buy our wives the washing machine and so they don't have to scrub their clothes by hand. That would certainly be a savings. But comforts are specified there. Once we have control of our finances, we're on the path of financial stability. We can plan with confidence. We can help our family. There's a lot of things to write down here. Family, we can help our church. We can help our neighbors. We can provide for retirement. We can be free of financial worry. And we can stop financial strife in the home. So I'll just pause a little bit here. I know there's a lot A lot of fill in the blanks there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But if we have control of our finances, we're in much better ability to be a blessing to the world. Okay? Everybody get that? Sorry to give you so many in one page, but I think it's important. Okay? The use of our tithe. God has given special direction as to the use of tithe. The portion that God has reserved for himself is not to be diverted to any other purpose than that which he has specified. Let none feel at liberty to retain their tithe, to use according to their own judgment. They are not to use it for themselves in an emergency, nor to apply it as they see fit, even if what they may regard as the Lord's work. Retain. Behold, the Levites have given Israel, the children of Levi, the ministers, we talked about that yesterday, the work of the ministry. Tithe helps us to fear or respect God. We should truly tithe all the increase of your grain that the fields produce year by year, that you may learn to fear the Lord your God always. God's blessing, here we know, we're not going to have room enough for it. We're not going to have ability to hold all of what he gives to us. Basic documents we need: a will, a living will, healthcare power of attorney, durable power of attorney, all of which you can get free if you're a church member. So we're going to spend just a moment on each of those. So first of all is a will. In a will, you can specify your assets, distribution. You can nominate a guardian for your children. I'm going to stop here and just mention. And a person said to me, please feel free to use this as an example. I do not trust my brother. I do not want him to have my children. I do not want him to have my assets. I want to put it in my will. Do not give anything to my brother. Came back, the attorney said, this is a highly unusual thing to make a statement like this. But that person was not a member of the church. They would not be good parents. And so he said, I want it in the will. He said, whatever you want, we'll put in the will. So he said he excluded his brother from the will. Because if mom and dad are gone, parents are gone, mom and dad are gone, spouse is gone, then it goes to the siblings. Another experience came up that I heard. This lady, a widow lady, had 3 or 4 children. She had promised somebody in the church that, I want my children to go to you, to live with you, if something ever happens to me. Unfortunately, she did not have a will. She died. It was in a car accident. The 3 or 4 children, I forget how many it is, were split up and given to siblings who are not members of the church. You have to specify it ahead of time. You have to have that will drawn up to specify what you want to have, especially in the guardianship area. Yeah. Oh, a slide? Okay, there we go. And just call the conference and ask them, say, I want these documents. Okay?
I was trying to take a picture.
Oh, okay. I'm too fast.
Well,
Okay, tell me when. Okay? All right. The next one is a living will, a document. This is a document benefit. Specifies while living various healthcare desires in the case of life-threatening events such as when to resuscitate, when to pull a plug, stop nourishment. All of this is to avoid the children and the family from having to make those emotional decisions. You know people that have had to make that decision. Do I really pull the plug on mom? Yeah, boy. And they have to meet together and decide, yeah, we're going to do it. Well, if mom wants it pulled, she puts it in her living will, and you pull the plug, and it's an emotional thing. It takes it out of the hands of the kids. Healthcare power of attorney. So allows a person to designate a trusted family member or friend to make health care decisions for that person in case of unexpected life-threatening accident, old age, or physical crisis that causes that person to be unable to decide for themselves. So my wife is my health care power of attorney. I trust her, and I am hers. So she trusts me after 40 years. She's kind of figured out that I'm probably going to do my best for her. I hope she does anyway, because I have control. She's given me total control to make any decision in the healthcare. Because
And now she's reconsidering Marlene.
Yeah, I would consult with Marlene first, I think. But anyway, so healthcare power of attorney. Okay, so that's power of attorney. You're standing in place of them because they cannot make the decision themselves. Okay? Now the next one is a durable power of attorney. This allows a person to designate a trusted family member or friend to make financial or legal decisions for that person in case of an unexpected life-threatening accident, old age, physical crisis. Okay, so now they can step in. I'm incapacitated. My wife or maybe both of us, one gets killed in an accident, the other is incapacitated. Marlene says, okay, I need to sell the house. Sign the document, sell the house. I'm a durable power of attorney. I need to open up a checking account, open up a check account. I need to close a check account. I need money from the whatever. Can handle all those financial decisions for you. So that's important to have that. To have one and then an alternate in case both of you are killed.
So, like I'm power of attorney for my mother, but it's for her legal and her medical.
Okay?
So
Good, good. Yeah, it's two separate documents. Now, once they die, that is all wiped away. Now it's the executor that makes that decision, financial decision. There's no medical decisions to make, but there's just the financial decisions, distribution. That's called an executor. Okay, the optional estate planning document, this is not in the first four there, but is a revocable trust. This bypasses probate. So probate is has to go to court. You take the will, they read the will, you've got to go through all kinds of things. And that can be expensive because you have legal fees there that have to be taken care of. However, you can get a revocable trust. My wife and I did a few years back. We had to pay that through the conference. Conference handled that. They did all the other documents, but instead of getting a will, we got a trust. And we paid about $500 for that. But the legal fees in the end might be a few $1,000s. So it's better. And here's what happens. So both of us die. My wife and I both die. Marlene has this trust, and she takes this document into the bank and says, I want the money. Would you write me a check for the money? I go to sell the house. I want to sell the house. I have legal rights. I have a trust to sell the house. Okay? Everything financially can be handled by that person, and they can do it without going through probate. However, every deed and checking account needs to be in the name of the trust. So it's Dennis and Barbara Millburn Trust, Revocable Living Trust, is on our deed, and it's also on our checking account. Shows on our checking account. It doesn't show on my check, but when I get my statement, it shows there. When I get my tax bill for real estate, it shows revocable trust. And any checking accounts I need to open up, I would have to put that on there as well. Some places won't do that for you. Pardon?
It also includes bills you have to pay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so they have to take care of the assets. You can also have a charitable annuity. We talked about that, lump sum paid to the charity with lifetime periodic payments. Balance goes to the charity. And your conference can assist with these as well for a fee. But it's still a reasonable fee, I think. Okay? Why don't we make a will? Why don't we make a will? We're busy with life. We don't have time. We have too little property. It's too expensive. It's only for the wealthy. We believe young people don't need it. So what about this lady with the children? A widow lady with the children? She didn't think she needed to do it right away because she didn't expect to die. Don't like telling strangers about personal details, uncomfortable talking about family issues, don't plan to die, and fear that once we do die, once we do the will, we will die, right? Yeah. Well, I came across this thing on the internet, but I went back, somebody says, well, give us the reference, and I couldn't find the reference, but it sounds good. It sounds good, and so understand this is not a referenced thing. My daughter says, make sure, Dad, you have all the things you have referenced. So this doesn't have a reference. So I couldn't find it again. You know, everything on the internet is true, right? Well, most everything, except for those that aren't true. But anyway, it sounded good. The superstition overseas and here in the U.S. that you will die early if you make a will. So there's a study in England. I wrote this all out by hand. I should have taken a picture of it or something. Study in England, average age of death. People without a will die at age 69 on average. People with a will die at age 79. So there's 10 years more. You live 10 years longer. And people with a will and charities live to age 82. So the question is, how long do you want to live? Okay? So found online with no reference there. I thought it was good. I'm going to leave it anyway.
And in order for the church, the conference, to help you with this, you have to be a member of that conference?
Yeah. So Georgia Cumberland Conference would be there. Now, I don't know what their policy is. Sometimes they say, would you like to leave something? They'll ask you that. Would you like to leave something to the church? You can leave a little bit, and perhaps you don't even have to leave any. I don't know the answer to that. I should have asked if there was any
Well,
requirement.
I think it's just,
Dave says you're not required to.
no, that's just a question that's asked while they're in the process of doing this with you.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know whether if they extend it to someone who is not a member within that conference.
Yeah.
Their conference where they're a member should do it.
Yeah, that would be the best thing. Yeah. Okay, percentage of people with a will. Gallup poll says that only 44% of people have a will or any estate plan. Do you have some kind of estate plan? If not, plan to do it now. Now is the key word.
Dennis, I heard on the news last week that singer Prince, he didn't have a will.
Isn't that something?
He had $100 million estate. Half of it went to the government.
Oh, wow.
$100
Well,
million.
maybe it would be put on the national debt. I doubt it.
I doubt it.
Yeah, give bonuses to all the legislators. Increase their pay. All right. Georgia assets, many valuable assets, don't go through the will. Property you've transferred in living trust, life insurance proceeds, funds in IRA or 401k doesn't go through that because you have a beneficiary. I have a beneficiary and a secondary beneficiary. Property you own with someone else in joint tenancy. These assets will pass to the surviving co-owners or to the beneficiary you named, whether or not you have a will. And here's the one, I'm not going to go through this, but parents with no spouse or parents with no spouse descendants or parents, the siblings inherit everything. So if your parents are dead and you don't have a spouse, and then it goes to your brothers and sisters, which is what this gentleman didn't want it to happen to, so he had to specify. Passing the torch on to children. Children learn more about what is taught than what is taught. Be their example in frugality. Help children to learn the value of money. Buy them used toys and clothes rather than always new. Teach them self-discipline, music lessons, love of learning, hobbies, interests. Keep their lives simple with few technologies and more relationships. Teach them good work ethics. Help them, let them help with little jobs and enjoy them. Don't put them aside because you can do it better. Yeah, it'll take a little longer to do it, but put them to work. Put them to work. Help them to learn responsibility. You hear that, Elliot and Enoch? Yeah, put them to work. So there, the three musketeers are all helping bake something. I don't know what it is there. But then Dave and Marlene didn't know that when they left our granddaughter with us, we put her washing the car. Yeah. Yeah. Sanding pad. There's Elizabeth washing our car. You see that little girl there? Yeah. Do you know her? Yeah. And here's Enoch, and he's filling out the checklist Mom has for him of his duties to do that day. So they have duties to do, and they work very quickly. And then Elliot is actually doing the work there. I bought this, or Mom and I bought this vacuum cleaner for our daughter. We knew that she needed some help. And the boys like it so much, it's so lightweight, that sometimes they fight over who can vacuum the floor. So it was so good, and I liked it so well, that I bought one for my wife.
But does she fight with you over who gets to use it?
No, a certain other person that does what my wife tells me to do uses it.
I got one of those, several of those pieces of equipment.
That's great. That's great. So partnership with God. Rockefeller has a philosophy, passing the torch on to children. Rockefeller, John D. Rockefeller, you know, the wealthy, steel, or I forget what it was. Oil, okay. So I understand that he had his children, he gave them a little allowance, and every week they had to meet together, and he had to give them an accounting of what they spent that for. And they had to make sure that every penny was accounted for. So teach them early the value of money. The McKee children, Little Debbie Cookies, you know, our Adventist institution. I was up there, and I understand that it's a private corporation. It's a family corporation. And I understand that everybody who's an heir to the family, they have to work on the line. They have to be boxing cookies. They have to be on the line. They have to learn the things in the front line. And I interviewed one of the young men, a straight A guy, smarter than I am.
I will tell you that. So
This lady worked at McKee's, so she's going to give me the real scoop.
O.D. and Ruth had 2 sons and 2 daughters. The daughters married gentlemen and live in California. So their children did not necessarily go through that process.
Oh, shame on me. Okay.
Ellsworth and Jack's children, absolutely.
Okay.
Except for Stephanie.
Okay.
I think because she went off to school, got married. But what happened was all of the grandchildren were receiving some sort of inheritance type of a stipend thing. So the children from California, the grandchildren from California, in order to increase that, if that wanted to be increased, had to come and work.
Hey.
And so we had an influx of these California grandchildren coming to work there.
That's great.
But they
That's
didn't
great.
stay
Oh, okay.
because they didn't start that from their early age like the others did.
Okay.
And so they worked there for a while, and for them it became not worthwhile because they were going to get an allotment of money regardless. So it wasn't worth it to them to have the income and the increase.
Okay.
So they ended up all leaving, and the ones that have stayed are the ones that you know and you've
Okay.
met.
All right.
And they're the ones who started out when they were still in academy,
Yes.
working the after-school job.
Uh-huh.
And they did it all. They ripped tape off of cardboard boxes to recycle. They worked on the line. They had to work their way up, worked in the mailroom. Whatever.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving the rest of the story.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, just because the ones that you know to be in place, in position at McKee Foods today are those kids that actually did do that from the beginning.
And I interviewed one. I had an opportunity to go over resumes of some of these, and here was one of the McKee straight A guy, much smarter than I am. I didn't make straight A's in college. Much smarter than I am, and he's saying, "Thank you, Mr. Millburn. I appreciate your input on my resume." And I'm thinking, this guy's worth millions. I'm just a pauper down here, but very humble people. So anyway, teach them good work ethics. Build things with them. Take old things and refinish or repair. Teach them that free is good, junkyards or trash. Show them how to return unused or defective items for cash returns. Whoops. Passing on the torch. Pay them for the little jobs. Some jobs need to be theirs. Start them saving, tithing, and giving offerings early. So those are the fill in the blank things there. Saving, tithing, and giving early.
Can I say something?
Yes.
David and I, in Sabbath school, we try to bring up this to the kids. David encourages them, bring $1 for the offering. We talk to them about their money
Yes.
being what they use to tithe, what they use to give an offering.
Yes.
I have had parents stand in the Sabbath school room and contradict while their child sits there to say, well, I won't make her take it out of her money. I'll do it for her. So don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So the child didn't bring the dollar from her own allowance.
Yeah. Mom just
So
handed
the
it to me.
mother's saying, I won't make her.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, the little children are not learning this.
Yeah.
They're not learning about giving of their own,
Yes.
tithing from their own. We sat there and said about giving tithe out of their birthday money. And we have children who, because conversation, they've gotten a load of money for a birthday. And they are horrified to think we're saying they should be giving offering or tithe from it.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. It's all education.
Sad.
It's education. Yes. Okay. Talk to them about and plan with them about college or technical school education. Help them to earn more. In 40 years, if they can earn $25,000 more a year from minimum wage, from flipping burgers to some kind of degree, they could make $1 million. That's like the lottery. Winning the lottery. Take them on mission trips to encourage a life of service. 529 plan is a tax advantage savings plan similar to the Roth IRA, Roth fund. It goes tax-free, and it was for college, and now, as I understand it, with the new tax law, it can be used for high school and elementary for the parochial schools. So that is a wonderful thing. Dave?
And I think it was either Clark Howard or somebody else that I was reading, and they said actually, most people don't know this, but scholarships, if they get a scholarship, they can use the amount of the scholarship they can take out of that 529. So that you don't penalize yourself by getting the 529 plan, saving it all up, and use it.
Okay.
So if they do get a scholarship, they can actually take that out. They can use it for room and board too, they can use it for books, everything.
Okay. So if it's totally paid, you're saying?
If
It's totally paid.
free ride,
Yeah.
you can cash out
Oh, okay.
on tuition.
That's interesting.
Less super
Which is good.
students who's getting
Yeah, so you're not penalized for good grades.
Yes. Yes. Very good. Okay.
You can pass it on to the next child.
So, okay, here's just some more things about Vanguard, the uniqueness of Vanguard. I went online to look at what it did. It's tax-free withdrawals, tax-free growth. Okay, just some unique things. Whoops. Children are our most important responsibility. We must do all we can to help them to succeed in this life and in preparation for heaven. Well, I keep pushing the button here. Our ticket to heaven has already been paid by the grace of Jesus Christ. We need to act like we want to go, and we need to accept it and accept it to go. He said, do business till I come. New King James Version. It says, occupy till I come. And that's what we're trying to do here, is to help us to occupy until we come. Take care of things. In heaven, we will have it all. All of our physical needs, all of our social needs, all of our mental needs, all of our spiritual needs and wants and interest will be provided. Everything is to be provided for us. So paying ahead. All right, so I want to, Bobby, do you have those? evaluations. I made a simple form to you use. It's not long. I'd like for you to get your feedback as to the relevance of my presentation and what would be helpful for future presentations. And I certainly want to thank you for coming. So if you just hold by here, where did we put those? How about right here? How about if I have them right here in the front? She's looking all over for them. Oops, I'm sorry. This just gives me an idea of what's important. Yeah, maybe you can help me pass out some of these. I'm getting a little slow here. Tongue tangled. All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate you coming out. You're welcome. You're welcome. And then you can just leave them on the back table or turn them upside down. They're all anonymous. And anything you want there, and Pastor, I'll try to get you the flash drive with the slides. I don't know if I'll get that done this afternoon or not, but flash drive I'll give you. If anybody wants that, they can get it from him.